Hello and welcome to another brand new video. Last week I talked a lot about the supplement regime that I follow personally. So this is part of my gut healing program which I undertake with a functional medicine practitioner. I took you through, if you haven't seen the video yet, took you through quite a long list of supplements that I take on a daily basis. My close community reached out afterwards and said, Lizzie, this is all really cool, but oh my goodness me, you take so many. What if we are just kind of starting out on our journey, or we're not super sure we want to kind of dive in as deeply as you have into a kind of radical gut healing program? And I sat back and I thought, yeah, that's such a good point. So today what I'm going to do is narrow down all the supplements I take, which is in the previous video. You can go back and find it on my page. And what I'm going to do is show you the 5 supplements that I consider essential for me. And this is in conversation with my own functional medicine practitioner. So as you will probably already know, I'm an MEN1 patient. I didn't start on this gut healing journey necessarily to change MEN1, but quite a few years down the line, it looks like everything that I do with my gut seems to be having an effect on my MEN1 specific results. So I thought I'd put something out there and show you what it is I take. It is not a personal recommendation for you. I am not qualified in any way to recommend you or advise you supplements, and I am not endorsing a particular brand of product. This is literally me just sharing what I do because you've asked for it. So with no further ado, let's jump straight in. So I'm calling this the 5 supplements that I would take to a desert island if I literally only had that much space in my suitcase. The first one would be this one here, Magnesium Taurate. So I've said before, this is part of field treatment, which is a kind of fancy way of saying it's just make sure that you're generally, or that I am generally metabolically healthy. It's very commonly used across all sorts of conditions. MEN1 specifically as well, I've heard it spoken about by endocrinologists and MEN1 specific practitioners. It is one of my favorites. I take it actually several times a day and I probably couldn't do without it. So that's magnesium. Number 2, a probiotic. So this is part of the gut healing program that I follow is split into different categories, and this is called intestinal treatment, which is basically making sure that the gut is cleansed and prepared for when we consume food, which is obviously where the bulk of our nutrition comes from. A probiotic, in my case anyway, is just to feed all the bacteria that's in there. It's super important, as I say, because actually most of my nutritional value will come from the food I eat. These are literally just a supplement, so to help the gut heal underneath that process. So yeah, probiotic, number 2. Number 3 are another one of my favorites. So this actually is a slightly different name, but I'm going to call it vitamin D. Vitamin D, if you're an MEN1 patient, you'll definitely have heard about this before because it is pretty vital in terms of the body's ability to absorb calcium produced naturally by the body. And as we know in MEN1, overproduction of calcium can be a problem. And I know from my own journey, it was always super important when I was younger that my vitamin D levels were stable in order to help stabilize my calcium as well. And this is one thing that my endocrinologist is really a fan of, is a vitamin D supplement. I know that the NHS guidelines are to take a supplement throughout the winter months. Personally, I take one throughout the whole year. I don't go overboard. We do get some sunshine as well, but it's definitely one that I couldn't do without. So that's vitamin D. Next one, zinc. So zinc is part of the category of my gut healing program that's called antioxidant treatment. And again, that's quite a fancy way of basically saying that a supplement like this will help prevent and potentially stop cell damage. And cell damage is generally caused by what is known as oxidative stress. And yes, that's stress inside the body, which is kind of different to the stress we experience in our everyday lives, but the two are not completely separate by any means. And the gut is the first place that will experience stress. So in a gut healing program, it's super important to be looking at antioxidants. Particularly in my case, my blood results show that I need to be taking supplements like these. So that's zinc. I'll come back to stress in a moment because that's a really important thing to mention. Last but by absolutely no means least, and I'm going to do these two together, fish oil and seed oil. So these will possibly ring bells with you as omega-3 and omega-6. Cod liver oil, possibly. People have been taking that for absolutely generations. It's an amazing, amazing supplement. Again, I've put the box down somewhere, but these come as part of the in sort of intestinal treatment. Essentially what they do is in a gut that is leaky, which is what I have, the gut wall is permeable, so it's almost like having little holes in it and it's leaking out nutrients. The benefit of the oils is that they help to lubricate the gut lining and to help maintain nutrients within the gut wall so that they don't leak out into the blood system and then set off immune alerts, basically, which is why a lot of us will come back with food intolerances. So yeah, fish oil, seed oil, super important. In fact, I go as far as to say they're possibly the most important in my program. The irony being that they're the ones I never take away with me because they are just a little bit annoying. They come in these tiny glass bottles, but hey ho, sometimes needs must. So just to run through those quickly again, I'll go in chronological order. We had magnesium, we had a probiotic, vitamin D, zinc, fish oil and seed oil. And I did say I was going to come back and talk about stress quickly because very often people say to me, well, where do I start? Where do I go? I talked about this briefly in the longer video, and I do recommend you go and check this out, and I will link it to follow through after this video. But the reason why I am so reluctant to talk about supplements in my journey is because supplements came into my journey so early on. And what I hadn't realised is that supplements and dietary changes particularly will make very, very little difference to a gut that is experiencing stress and anxiety. And even if you're not a stressed or anxious person, which I am not, or I used to say I'm not stressed and I'm not anxious, the thing is that I tend to feel a lot of my emotions in my gut. And when my gut is processing stress, anxiety, and fear, it's putting me in survival mode, in my kind of fight or flight. And these little things only work in, funnily enough, rest and digest. So actually, if you're paying a fortune to put these inside of you, but your gut isn't processing them correctly, it's kind of a waste of money and a waste of time and a waste of your energy, your resources and everything. So that's why I say it's super important actually to manage your emotional self first before you think about embarking down a really radical supplement route or even any supplements at all. And even before that stage, one of the things that can really help is to find a professional that you trust to lead you towards the supplements that you actually need if you're not quite sure what those are on your own. And that said, some people do embark down that route on their own. That's super cool. Personally, I would always do it with professional guidance, and that doesn't necessarily mean working one-to-one. You can also go and work with I work with a lot of I work with a lot of professionals, but what I do is I follow their pages and I get their emails and I watch their YouTube videos a bit like you're watching mine. I do all their courses, I do all their free stuff, and it's a great way of getting that sort of starting level guidance without paying an absolute fortune, because the bottom line is, if you're going to go and find a functional medicine practitioner or someone to help you with supplements, if they're good, they're going to charge a lot of money, and if they're not charging a lot of money, I would think twice about it. So yeah, that is my video on the 5 supplements I would take with me to a desert island if I absolutely have to, and I really hope I never get landed there. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm always receiving messages and contact from MEN1 patients telling me what it is they're struggling with, and what their questions are, what their challenges are. Feel free to reach out anytime. Drop messages below in the chat box. Don't forget to share this video with someone who needs to hear it, because there are very few people talking about these topics in MEN1, and I feel as a patient it's super important that we're informed and we help inform each other. So I hope you've enjoyed the video, and I will see you next week.